You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Hey, everybody, good morning. We are The Bible Guys.
Ooh. Good morning.
Yes, and if you're wondering why Jeff looks different, he's better looking and younger and smaller, it's because this is...
What an intro.
This is
my friend Jeff.
This is, that's right. Well, you know, that's the nature of mine and Jeff's relationship.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I love that for you.
Yeah. So this is Kyle Dobmeyer, and Jeff is out of the country with his lovely wife, Bonnie, serving the TTI organization, the Timothy Initiative, which is awesome. And so Kyle's filling in, so we're just thrilled on both fronts.
Yes.
So, hey, we have an incredible chapter. We're in the story of Nehemiah, who is a Jewish person who is requested from King Artaxerxes, as he was a prominent cupbearer, to leave his job, which was a cushy job, and to go back and to organize the rebuilding of the wall surrounding the city of Jerusalem. And so we're in the middle of that story. But before we get to that, we're going to do a very strange segment to me. I've never seen this segment.
Yeah, last week Wesley and Jeff apparently, or last week they did do this, and so apparently the viewers liked it a lot.
So this is called Guest versus AI.
Okay.
We played this game with Wesley, Desiree writes, and it was a hit. So let's see how things go with Kyle. Chris will ask Kyle a question, let Kyle answer, and then ask ChatGPT the same question. Compare answers and vote on who wins, Kyle or AI.
Okay.
Dude, how in the world can you ever compete with AI?
No, I'm going to lose.
So, but you're gonna do well.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
So, and by the way, I've decided to. You got to climb uphill for this one, buddy.
Okay.
You ready?
Gosh, here we go. Yeah, I'm nervous about what's in your brain right now.
Yeah, Kyle. What is?
Oh boy, that's good.
Kyle, it's not a big deal. Just
not a big deal.
A very simple question.
Yeah. But it's just me versus AI. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ready? What is the meaning of life?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Nothing hard at all.
It's probably one of the hardest questions.
All right, what is the meaning of life?
Yes.
Okay.
If you go biblical, you can.
No. What I'm going to try to do. Okay. So I'm going to say one sentence. Okay. So when we ask, do you have ChatGPT on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. You got to ask for one sentence. Okay. That way we
I've
can
already asked it. What is the meaning of life?
Oh shoot! How long is it? Is it like a paragraph though?
It gave me 4 points.
Okay, points. All right. I would say the meaning of life is to live for a purpose that is greater than yourself. Period.
Okay. So no 4 points. One sentence.
No, I'm not. Yeah, if I get one of the four, I'll be happy.
Okay. Well, hey, listen. It could be that these four answers are sort of summarized by your one statement. Okay. So here's what it says. From a Christian biblical perspective, the meaning of life is to know, love, and glorify God and enjoy a relationship with Him forever.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Which, by the way,
similar. Yeah. Similar, but
it's purpose greater than yourself. Number one, we were created for God's glory, and then it gives me Isaiah 43. Our existence is not random. We were made to reflect God's glory and character. Number two, life's purpose is found. There's purpose. Life's purpose is found in knowing God.
Okay.
John 17:3. Now this is eternal life, that they know you and the only true God, Jesus Christ, whom you've sent. True life, eternal life is not just about existence, but about a relationship with God. Point number 3, we are called to love God and others. Matthew 22:37, the greatest commandment, love God and others. Jesus summed up the purpose of life in terms of love for God, love for people. And then finally, the fourth one is our lives are meant to bear fruit that lasts. God desires that our lives have eternal impact through love, service, and obedience.
Okay, let me defend myself against AI for a moment here. No. Listen, when I was thinking this question, I was thinking like if anybody in the world, Christian, non-Christian, were to ask, what is the meaning of life? I thought to myself, to live for a purpose that is greater than myself. As a Christian, what is that purpose?
Right.
Jesus Christ, right? That purpose right there is to do everything I can to glorify God and live for Jesus. But that was like, that obviously is such a better, what they just described, way better.
Dude, I'm completely with you. I have the same mindset as you almost always. In terms of like for instance, my mind always goes for the person who doesn't know God, right? Your statement is a statement that would bring somebody who is clueless about the meaning of life.
Yes.
And you'd say, no, it's to live something greater than yourself. That is a transition statement that brings that person into a biblical perspective.
Yep.
And then for the Christian who already has the biblical perspective, your statement then completely points that Christian to God.
Yes.
Because he has a biblical perspective.
Exactly. So basically what I just heard is the Bible guy said that I beat AI.
I like your answer.
Let's go.
Better because it includes all of humanity. Whereas AI immediately went for the biblical perspective. Yep. And by the way,
yeah, I do think it's a purpose of a Christian.
Let me be clear.
Don't you think digging deeper, the purpose of a Christian is to glorify God?
Yes.
And to lead others to Christ and serve Him, right? There's all those things. Those are the purpose of a Christian. But if just the meaning of life, that's what I was going for. So.
Yeah, well, here, let me just be clear. Let me be clear. AI got it right.
Yes, 100%.
AI got it right. Okay, that his or her answer. Their answer. They them. Just kidding. That was terrible.
Their answer. Yes.
Yeah, their answer is definitely the right answer. Right. But what I'm saying is, I personally vote for your answer because your answer meets people right where they're at. Yeah. Whereas the person who's, let's just say like an atheist, who's sitting, in disbelief and angry at God, this answer is so on point speaking Christianese, that person's going to shut this answer out.
100%.
But your answer will intrigue people enough to consider
what's next or what does that mean?
And
what does that look like?
What do you mean? Yep. Bigger than myself, right? Which again, I think your answer summarizes all.
Well,
this.
Especially because the meaning of life, oftentimes, aren't most people searching for the meaning of life within themselves? Mm-hmm. Most people are thinking, if only I was happier, if only this is the meaning of life. It's a family. Those are all great components of life, but they aren't the meaning of life. So,
and by the way, just like AI, ChatGPT is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, me too.
And this is what they say. It says. The meaning of life, in summary, it says in short at the end, the meaning of life, according to the Bible, is to be in a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, to live for His glory, and to love others as a reflection of His love for us. In doing so, we find not only purpose, but deep joy and fulfillment. And then it says, if you're asking this for a sermon or for a teaching, I can help you build it out with points, stories, and scriptures. Oh. Are you kidding me? Yes, please do that.
Send message notes to kdobbenmeyer@heritagechurch.com.
Yeah, no kidding. What is the meaning of life from a Christian? Oh my goodness, are you kidding me now? Look what it says. I didn't even ask you to do this. Look what it says. I won't read you the sermon, but look what it says. Here's a sermon outline on the topic: what is the meaning of life from a Christian perspective, styled similarly to Chris Zarbaugh.
Oh my gosh.
Relatable and engaging, scripture-centered and practical.
Does it tell a story about your brother?
And it says introduction, hook, start with humor. There are two great questions people ask in life. What's for dinner and why am I here?
Oh, my.
Oh, dude, my goodness. It does know me. Illustration. A smartphone doesn't find its... This is hilarious.
This is a message you've given, bro.
Dude, it really does know me. It knows me.
This is funny.
It's goodness gracious.
Wow.
I'm going to become obsolete.
What are we doing here?
I write sermons.
What are we doing here?
I write sermons, and I'm becoming obsolete.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, we got to move on. That's our time.
All right, that's our time.
No, it's our time for a segment.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I've realized that the first 3 podcasts of this week, I forgot to do a horrible transition.
Oh, man.
So I'm just going to say, speaking of sermons,
okay.
Nehemiah is living. He's a living sermon, Kyle.
Oh.
Isn't that a terrible transition?
Did ChatGPT just write that for you?
No. That's a terrible transition.
That's good. All right, hey, I like it. The sermon he's living. We're going to talk about Nehemiah chapter 6. We've got some verses to get through here today, so I'll get right into it. Chapter 6. Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies found out that I had finished rebuilding the wall and that no gaps remained, though we had not yet set up the doors and the gates. So Sanballat and Geshem sent a message asking me to meet them at one of the villages in the plain of Ono. But I realized they were plotting to harm me, so I replied by sending this message to them. I am engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? 4 times they sent the same message, and each time I gave the same reply. The 5th time, Sanballat's servant came with an open letter in his hand, and this is what it said. There's a rumor among the surrounding nations, and Geshem tells me it's true, that you and the Jews are planning to rebel, and that is why you are building the wall. According to his reports, you plan to be their king. He also reports that you have appointed prophets in Jerusalem to proclaim about you, look, there's a king in Judah. You can be very sure that this report will get back to the king, so I suggest that you come and talk it over with me. Nehemiah says, I replied, there is no truth in any part of your story. You are making up the whole thing. They were just trying to intimidate us, imagining that they could discourage us and stop the work. So I continued the work with even greater determination. Later, I went to visit Shemaiah, son of Delaiah, and grandson of Mehetabel, who was confined to his home. He said, let us meet together inside the temple of God and bolt the doors shut. Your enemies are coming to kill you tonight. But I replied, should someone in my position run from danger? Should someone in my position enter the temple to save his life? No, I won't do it. I realized that God has not spoken to him, but that he had uttered this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. They were hoping to intimidate me and make me sin. Then they would be able to accuse and discredit me. Remember, oh my God, all the evil things that Tobiah and Sanballat have done. And remember Noadiah the prophet and all the prophets like her who have tried to intimidate me. Going into the next section, which is called The Builders Complete the Wall. So on October 2nd, the wall was finished, just 52 days after we'd begun. When our enemies and the surrounding nations heard about it, they were frightened and humiliated. They realized this work had been done with the help of our God. During those 52 days, many letters went back and forth between Tobiah and the nobles of Judah. For many in Judah had sworn allegiance to him because of his father-in-law was Shechaniah, son of Era, and his son Jehanan was married to the daughter of Meshullam, son of Berechiah. They kept telling me about Tobiah's good deeds, and then they told him everything I said, and Tobiah kept sending threatening letters to intimidate me. That's funny. After the wall was finished and I had set up the doors and the gates, the gatekeepers, singers, and Levites were appointed. I gave the responsibility of governing Jerusalem to my brother Hanani, along with Hananiah, the commander of the fortress, for he was a faithful man who feared God the most. Last verse here says, I said to them, do not leave the gates open during the hottest part of the day, and even while the gatekeepers are on duty, have them shut and bar the doors. Appoint the residents of Jerusalem to act as guards. Everyone is on a regular watch. Some will serve at sentry posts and some in front of their own homes.
Wow.
Yep.
So, first of all, 52 days.
Yeah.
Can we just revel in the fact that, they said that the reason why their enemies and the surrounding areas knew that this was a work of God is because it is incredible that such a feat should be accomplished in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? That is incredible. And so, obviously, if it ended on October 2nd, right, that would have been, what, September, October, right? Yep. So it would have been August 10th-ish, something like that, first week of August. So think about it. They're starting in the heat of the day. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I went to Israel in I went in the summer of 2009, and we actually were in there doing a great work with, a lot of things, actually. We were meeting with Bethlehem Bible College. We were trying to understand that whole reconciliation ministry between Palestinians and Israelites. There was a ministry that we were part of that tried to bridge the gap. And then also, we were actually going to do a vacation Bible school with Bethlehem Bible College in the center of Palestine. Now, for those of you who don't know, Palestine is recognized as their own region in the middle of Israel. So Israel is both called a state and a country. And so Israel is obviously filled with Jewish people, and Palestinians are in the middle, and there is this great wall. And I'm talking like the wall is so high that it blocks out the sun. It has to be, I don't even know, but I want to say at least 20 to 30 feet high. And it is thick and it is huge. And this wall goes all around almost the center region of Palestine. And there's a lot of talk about it. But anyway, it's an occupied territory. Palestinians live in an occupied territory. So the Jewish war in the 40s, the Israelites were able to take control back over. So consequently, there's actually Israelite guards at every city gate. So whenever you enter in through the Palestinian borders, you have to go through the gates with these people who are literally boarding your bus. So we had like this bus of 17 people, and this girl walks on, and she's of the Israelite army, and she's got this AK-47 rifle, and she's walking up and down. I mean, it's incredibly intimidating, right? Yeah. And most people, when they enter in through this, they only do so for one reason, and that is they go in to see Bethlehem. Okay? So if you think about it, the way that the Palestinian walls are, the only tourist site for Christians is Bethlehem. And it's literally right inside the city wall. I'm talking like you go through the gate and it's right there because it's so close to Jerusalem. And so that's what people do. They go to Jerusalem, then they enter in through this gate, they go to Bethlehem, and they come back out. And that's it. People do not go up and travel into, for the most part, the city of Palestine. So we decided to go to the very center of Palestine, hours of driving, right? And we went up into right near the big city of Jenin, and we went to Zababdeh. And Zababdeh had the most Christians of any city in Palestine. And guess what the percentage of Christians was? 1%. Wow. And that was the most. So we held a vacation.
99% Muslim?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, Muslim. And so we held a vacation Bible school. And we had 120 kids. That's awesome. And they were, most of them, almost all of them were Muslim. Yeah. And we told them we were preaching about Jesus. And they said, okay. And they left their kids. Well, they put me in charge of outdoor games. And so I'm outside in the summer. In the summer. It was like July. Okay. And it was 120 degrees. Wow. 120 degrees. I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe. It was unbelievable. The difference between shade and sun was life and death. And originally I had planned like soccer and things with kids. And I realized I'm just going to get water and just squirt everybody because that's all they wanted.
Yeah, water games.
Yeah, water games. It was all water games, right? Yeah. All that to say this. That was a long way to say that.
It was grueling, though.
They built the wall in the summer.
Oh my gosh!
Right, we're talking over 100 degrees heat, and he mobilized all the city villagers. So imagine this. Imagine he's saying, "Hey, don't let your guard down, even on the hottest days." Yeah. Right, and he's telling them to basically work through exhausting conditions. Yeah. Right, because sometimes that's what God calls us to do.
I know it is pretty wild because you think about this, like. It's easy for us to read this 2,500 years later and completely almost because here we are in air-conditioned, place where we're reading this from and actually forget. Yeah. You brought me to 120 degrees for that moment there, but we're not working, to work sun up to sundown and to do that for 52 days?
Well, a minute ago you said the studio was hot.
It's hot. Yeah. It's probably, what is it, like cool 70 degrees in here?
Oh, it's so hot with the lights.
Yeah. I was complaining about the heat in this room. And it's crazy because they work from sun up to sundown 52 days straight, and then they're on guard the entire time. And then not to mention that, then Nehemiah's got to deal with all this opposition along the way. And then these rumors, the Sanballat servant comes with an open letter, creating a rumor essentially, even that is pretty crazy, that he essentially starting this rumor that, hey, supposedly you want to become king, and I'm going to let the king know. Now all of a sudden, you got to imagine Nehemiah is probably got all kinds of challenges internally, mentally that he's battling now, thinking, oh man, like, is this going to get to the king? Am I going to is he going to think I'm letting him down? Is he going to think, like, you just imagine that guy not only, had a rough go as far as physically the obstacles he had to go through, but I imagine he didn't sleep very well. Like, could you just imagine him trying to sleep? Yeah. I mean, he's probably exhausted, but other than that.
Well, I mean, knowing that your enemies are constantly trying to get you. Yep. Nehemiah was so wise as a leader. He was so far above and beyond what you would ever expect from a cupbearer, right? So think about it. They're trying to defeat Nehemiah and his group of people at every turn. Yeah. So what do? They try to mock them. They try to deflate their spirits at the beginning.
Yeah.
They try to tell them it's an impossible task with discouragement. And then what do? As they recognize that everything is up, it says that they had plans to attack them. Nehemiah found out and posted guards at the lowest parts of the wall. And once they had learned that Nehemiah knew of their plans, they got discouraged, and God discouraged them. And so all along the way. And then what happens? Once the walls are built, now they're going, okay, how do we still get to him? Let's try to destroy his reputation. Let's try to spread a rumor that he's building the wall to be king, so that so that somebody else could come in and take care of it. And then all of a sudden Nehemiah gets advice from somebody that says, "Hey, let's retreat inside the temple because there's a hitman squad coming for you."
Yeah.
And Nehemiah says, "No, you're going to use that." To use that as a bad reputation to accuse me and discredit me, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So Nehemiah shows courage then, right? So because it could have been true, there could have been an assassination squad coming after him. Yeah. But what does he do? He says, "No, I'm not going to do such a thing. Why should I do that?" So every step of the way, Nehemiah is understanding. There's two sermons that I'm talking about in my mind. Here's the one I'm talking about currently, and that is, there's some wisdom in being aware that some people are just going to be out to get you the whole time. It's sort of a pessimistic, depressing kind of reality, but the Bible does say that we do have enemies, right? Yeah. The Bible says that there are going to be people opposed to us because of our faith. Yeah. There's going to be people opposed to us and reject us and mock us and want us to fall. And you know what? There is, obviously, we are to act as Christians with compassion and love, but there's some wisdom here in being prudent and wise and cunning enough to know that there are just some people in this world who, like, you want to believe the best of who they are and their value of what their soul is worth, but at the same time, don't ever underestimate that God says there will be people who will oppose you. And this is, by the way, this was and still is a very, very, very hard lesson for me to learn, because my counselor, after years, tells me that one of my downfalls is believing the best in people. And I'm like, how could that be a downfall? How could loving people and believing the best of them, how could it be? And he says, well, you're confusing it for compassion. This is what my counselor told me. You're confusing it for compassion. You're looking on the Christian side, the compassion, the love side of it, saying, how's it downfall? But what you're neglecting is the wisdom side, right? Like, listen, there are clues. There are clues that, Chris, you should have caught on to that should have dictated you walking in wisdom. But instead, here you say, oh, I believe the best in this person, and you walk right into treachery, enemy territory, not even realizing that God says that there's going to be enemies of your soul, or enemies of your person. So that's a very, very hard lesson for me to learn. The other lesson, the other sermon that I was alluding to before is, the 120-degree heat thing, is that sometimes God calls you to work that is tumultuous. Sometimes it's excruciating. Yeah. Sometimes God asks us to be faithful in things that are just not fun at all. Yeah. But think about it. Think about everything that was at stake for Nehemiah to be faithful, right? So he's asking his people, hey, stand by the wall on the hottest days when it's 120 degrees in the sun, and don't let your guard down, and stand by your homes. And think about the individual person who's tasked at the dung gate, for instance, right? And he's just sitting there going, what am I doing? Not realizing that his faithfulness is connected to future generations of God rebuilding that area, restoring his people, building his nation. Once again, ultimately leading Jesus to Jerusalem, right? Where salvation is going to happen for the world, right? I mean, this guy at the gate, his name's Bob, okay? Bob's a part of that, right? And he doesn't even know it. Yeah. It's what you said last podcast. You talked about your friend who said they want to go back to work for the bigger picture of God. Sometimes we have to realize God asks us to do the faithful things because he has a bigger picture in mind, and there's more at stake than we'll ever know. Yeah. And so be faithful, even when God asks you to do something that's discouraging.
Yeah, and I would also say, too, when you are stepping into God's plan for your life, and hey, it goes back to the meaning of life, which is to glorify Him.
Oh, look at that.
And hey, full circle. And leading people to Jesus, you are going to be met with opposition. There are going to be challenges.
Right.
There are going to be enemies. There are going to be internal opposition. Be prepped for it. And so be on guard, be praying, be watchful, and then also pray for others in leadership. Whenever somebody will tell me, like I've had people tell me like, hey, just, Kyle, I pray for you every day. I'm like, wow. Like it legitimately, like it doesn't, I don't know. I'm sure you get that too. It's like, that is such a good thing to be prayed for. And we should continue to pray over others in authority as well, knowing that they're under attack all the time as well.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to somebody who I know probably is not listening, but there was a girl in my previous 2 churches ago. I've only worked at 4 churches for any length of time, but 2 churches ago, when I lived in Georgia, I was doing college ministry, and there was a girl named Kelly, and Kelly met her husband there at my college group and married James, and they went into full-time ministry. But Kelly, before she was even married, she came to me one day and she said, God asked me, and by the way, she's so eccentric and quirky and wonderful, and she's one of these kinds of people where if she says something, everybody believes it. Like she's going to do it no matter what. And she came to me and said, God asked me to pray for you every day for the rest of my life. And I said, what did you just say? She's like 21. I said, what did you just say? And she said, and she looked at me with confidence and said, I commit to you and promise you that I will pray for you every single day for the rest of my life. And you will always be in my prayers. Wow. And she said, I feel like this is what God wants me to do for you. And so anyway, she bought me a bulb for my Christmas tree one year, long story. But I remember every once in a while, every couple Christmases, I'll text her and I'll send her a picture of a bulb and I'll say, hey, we still got your bulb. It's so beautiful, this Christmas bulb. And she says, I pray for you every single day still. Wow. And it's been 20 years since I've left that church. Wow. And so for 20 years, she's told me she prays for me every day.
Dude, Kelly.
Right.
Legend right there. Wow.
Legend.
Legendary moment.
Legend. Wow. So that's awesome. Well, hey, that is our time for sure. And so hopefully we will see you next time on The Bible Guys.